The Book of Mormon was first published in 1830. It tells the story of two ancient peoples, the Nephites and the Lamanites. But what if this story doesn't begin in 600 BCE? What if it's a fragmented memory from 10,000 years ago? A record of survivors from Atlantis, preserved in Scripture. This theory explores what happens when myth, DNA, archaeology, and religion all overlap. Could the Nephites be the forgotten descendants of a lost global civilization? According to the Book of Mormon, a man named Lehi fled Jerusalem around 600 BCE. He and his family sailed to the Americas. His sons Nephi and Lamon became the ancestors of two rival civilizations. The Nephites were spiritually and technologically advanced. The Lamanites were rebellious, darker-skinned, and eventually conquered them. The Nephites were wiped out in a massive war. But what if this isn't just scripture? What if it's an ancient civilizational memory? A story retold through time and preserved as a warning. Traditional Mormon teachings say Native Americans descend from the Lamanites. But DNA tells a different story. Most Native American ancestry comes from Siberia and East Asia. There's no direct Middle Eastern genetic link. This has led some to question the historical basis of the Book of Mormon. Others believe it's symbolic. But what if there's a third possibility? What if the Book of Mormon preserves distorted memories of something far older? A lost civilization that left behind genetics, ruins, and oral legends. Maybe not Israelites, but Atlanteans. Joseph Smith claimed to find the golden plates at Hill Cumorah in New York. Nearby lies one of North America's most mysterious ancient sites. It's called America's Stonehenge in New Hampshire. It features large stone structures aligned with the solstices. Like Stonehenge in England, it shows knowledge of astronomy. Could this region have been a Nephite or Atlantean center? Did these sites mark sacred times and ancient rituals? And if so, why are they hidden in plain sight today? Indigenous tribes across North America tell stories of giants. The Paiute described the Siteka, tall, red-haired cannibals. The Lenape tell of the Allegawi, a powerful people driven away. These stories echo across tribes separated by geography and language. Could these giants have been Nephites? Survivors of a collapse who became myth over time? Are these legends echoes of ancient wars remembered through generations? Stories that preserve truth disguised as folklore? Science has traced Native American DNA to East Asia and Siberia. But there's an anomaly, haplogroup X2O. This DNA marker doesn't appear in Asia. It appears in Europe, the Middle East, and among some Native American tribes. Tribes like the Ojibwa carry it in surprisingly high numbers. It also shows up among the Druze, Basques, and Armenians. Could this be a genetic trace of Nephites? If Nephite women were taken captive after the final war, their maternal DNA could have survived in the population for generations. The mystery isn't proof, but it raises compelling questions. Across North America, ancient structures align with celestial events. The Serpent Mound in Ohio tracks the solstices. Chaco Canyon in New Mexico contains sun-tracking towers. America's Stonehenge aligns with lunar and solar cycles. This suggests ancient astronomical knowledge. But who built these sites? Mainstream scholars say it was early Native Americans. But what if it was someone else? An advanced culture that understood the heavens and encoded their beliefs in stone. The Book of Mormon says the Nephites arrived around 600 BCE. But what if the actual events took place much earlier? Maybe 10,000 to 15,000 years ago? Joseph Smith may have interpreted symbols, calendars, and records through a biblical lens, trying to make ancient events fit the Bible's timeline. That could explain why the Book of Mormon feels spiritual but mythic. It may not describe events from the Iron Age, but from the Ice Age. What happens when a great civilization falls? History gives us clues. When Rome fell, Europe entered the Dark Ages. When the Nephites fell, the victorious Lamanites may not have had the knowledge to continue their culture. Over time, cities were abandoned, books were lost, rituals became stories, and those stories became legends. It's possible the Nephites were real, but their fall caused a massive cultural reset, just like we've seen throughout history. Every ancient culture has a myth about destruction. Floods, fire, earthquakes, lost lands beneath the sea. The Bible speaks of Noah's flood. The Greeks tell of Atlantis. The Hopi describe past worlds destroyed by water and fire. In India, the Mahabharata speaks of divine weapons and ruin. In Norse myth, Ragnarok ends the world in ice and flame. Are these coincidences? Or shared memories of one global catastrophe? Maybe the Nephites and Atlantis were part of that same forgotten history. Joseph Smith claimed to translate golden plates using divine guidance. But what if it was more than translation? What if he was synthesizing ancient symbols and ideas? If the records came from a civilization 10,000 years old, Smith may have interpreted them through his 19th century worldview. To reach his audience, he framed the story in biblical language. The result? A spiritual document with ancient roots and mythic echoes. History shows us what happens after civilizations fall. After Rome collapsed, Europe lost technology and entered the Dark Ages. In Africa, after colonial powers left, infrastructure crumbled in many places. Could the same have happened with the Lamanites? After destroying the Nephites, they may not have preserved their knowledge. Cities were abandoned, scripts forgotten, and within generations only myth remained. Regression isn't rare, it's a pattern. Let's connect the pieces. We have spiritual records from the Book of Mormon, oral legends of giants and godlike visitors, genetic markers with no clear source, megalithic structures aligned to stars, and global myths of destruction and rebirth. Together, these threads weave a story about a forgotten world, its rise, its fall, and its survival through memory. Maybe the Nephites weren't just religious figures. Maybe they were the last survivors of a lost civilization. Maybe they were Atlanteans. This theory raises big questions and big skepticism. Mainstream science rejects the idea of Atlantis. DNA evidence is debated and often dismissed as too minor. The Book of Mormon is considered scripture, not science. And Joseph Smith is a controversial figure. But evidence doesn't always fit neatly. Sometimes anomalies point to new understandings. This hypothesis doesn't claim certainty. It claims curiosity. And curiosity is where discovery begins. The Nephites, Atlantis, giants, stone temples, DNA markers. What if they're not disconnected? What if they're part of a single forgotten story? A story of a people who fled disaster, built cities, watched the stars, wrote their history in gold and stone, and fell. Maybe the Book of Mormon is more than a sacred text. Maybe it's a survivor's journal, a memory of who we once were, and a clue to who we might be again.